I've been away from YouTube for a while. I didn't plan to be away, it just sort of happened. There are a lot of reasons for this that sort of congealed into an amorphous mass in my brain, but the short version is that I got really burned out from my job, and I didn't want to make anything, which is strange for me. Usually I have too many things that I want to make and I just can't pick one. And then the few things that I did want to do for YouTube after I fell into my K-pop vortex seemed too distant from what I've done in the past. So a little voice in my head told me it'd be worse to do something that doesn't fit, quote, the brand, than to just do nothing at all. So I did nothing at all, with the exception of the few game playthroughs that I brought over here on Twitch. And being real, I'm still pretty burned out. I'm trying to manage it, but in the meantime, I want to do what I can, even if it isn't perfect. So I'm here, I'm reconnecting with YouTube with a little video about journaling. You know how I love journaling. Unless you don't. Hello, if this is somehow the first video of mine that found you, I'm Savalian. Sava is fine too. I'm a full-time software engineer. I also work on developing my own games. I stream on Twitch. I run a small art shop. And I recently picked up a full-time job as a Stray Kids fan. So that's who I am. Who are you? The idea for this video came up because I saw an old email newsletter that mentioned interstitial journaling, which, if you haven't heard of it, interstitial journaling is the practice of making very small journal entries about your day as you go. And the name comes from the notes being made during interstitial moments, or sort of the in-between moments of your life. When you're moving from one task to another, taking a brief break, tiny moments that happen somewhat frequently throughout the course of the day. Some people have very specific things that they put in their interstitial entries. Like some people focus specifically on their health and do like a body and mood check-in, but you can journal about anything that feels important to you. You can check in with your mood, your tasks, any obstacles that come up, ideas you've had, questions you want answers to. And I like this concept a lot because it captures a lot of small moments that would almost certainly be forgotten if you were waiting until the end of the day to do one big journal entry. It also works really well with the bullet journal method. It is kind of like a piece of the bullet journal method, which I've been a fan of for years. And I like the sound of doing a little experiment. So I tried interstitial journaling for this entire past week to see if I can try to get my tired brain back on track. And at the same time, I like the idea of using these notes to do a little podcast style catch-up video. Because I've been away for so long, I can talk about how things are going and what I'm working on. And this kind of has a structure to it. For materials, I've just got a Tomoe River paper insert from Goulet Pens. I love these little notebooks. I had a spare lying around, just an empty dot grid notebook to use with my beloved Twisbees. And to facilitate the interstitial journaling, I'm going to leave this notebook out on my desk where I can see it all day. I work from home. I spend most of my time here at my desk, which is a new desk, by the way. I got it a few weeks ago. I'm very happy with it so far. It almost killed me assembling it because all of it is so heavy, but I did it. And I think having my notebook out and in view will signal to my brain that it's time to make a note whenever I stop and pause. So I'll jot down the time, what I'm doing, how I'm feeling, tasks I'm working on, what I think I need to work on next, and we'll see what I can glean from it after a week. And I'll talk about what I think this kind of journaling is really useful for. Now, when I started this week, I was predicting that two things would happen. First, I predicted that I would spend more time focused on my day job work, because when you're tracking something, you naturally start to optimize whatever you're tracking. So I was thinking if I'm tracking the moments of my workday, I will get more work done, because every time I pause or get distracted, I'll be thinking about what I should be doing and course correct. And this kind of happened. In fact, it might have happened too well. We'll talk about that. The second thing I predicted was that I would be more mindful about how I'm spending my evenings and work on some more of my side projects, because I know it's going to be written down, so I'm not going to just sort of melt my brain on YouTube Shorts. Now that didn't happen, but for a reason unrelated to the journaling, and we'll talk about that too. So starting on Monday, one thing I immediately liked about the interstitial journaling is how it leaves this memory log for me to revisit later. I think I'm still a bit too wordy, especially at the start. I need to trim things down, but reviewing my Monday interstitial journal entries is much less daunting than, like, for example, reading through a full set of morning pages. The long form journaling is harder to like reread and recap. The interstitial journaling, because it's just little snippets and it's very brief, is much easier to actually get information back out of later. But here's a little section just for Monday morning when I started. 8:20, I woke up from intense dreams slightly late, around 7:30. 8:53 a.m. Enjoyed breakfast with Stray Kids video. Focus time for work now. PRs for my current feature need to be finished and pushed up. 9:40, prepared feature branches. Meeting in 20 minutes, finishing the PR now. 10:10, meeting done. It went fast. Need to make a ticket for a task I forgot about. Busy day, busy day. Second meeting went long. Feet hurt from standing. Right eye irritated. Seeing an issue with a work task not generating responses correctly. Lots to think about. And I'll just say, if I was not doing this for a YouTube video, and if you're doing this for yourself, it might help to include more details, be a little more specific. I kept things vague around my work because I don't want to dox myself, and pretty much all the work I do is a secret for boring corporate legal reasons, so I can't really talk about it in too much detail. But what I like about this is that I'm catching the tiny little things that I would definitely not remember after an hour had passed or a day had passed, and now I have these captured and I can look back on them. And one example that I think is really helpful is that I've been having trouble with eye strain this week really bad. So making a note about how my eye is feeling after 2 online meetings could be really good to know. I know that that's something that is exacerbating the problem, and then I can maybe take steps to fix that or do an eye compress or something like that. I've also got some insight into my mental state here. Right from the get-go, I was feeling pressure, busy day, lots to think about. I also did a bit of problem solving, refocused my attention, and really thought about what my best way to spend my time is. So each of these entries took maybe 30 seconds, and they were little moments that allowed me to process what I was doing, thinking, feeling, and figure out what I should be doing or what I want to be doing. For this experiment, I also did this into the evenings as well. I think sometimes people are very work focused, all about productivity, and would only do this during the workday, but I think this is nice as a general journaling tool as well. And in the end, the work that we do is inextricably connected to the rest of our lives because it is part of our life. So I kind of think everything together is useful to track and learn about. I also used these notes to make brief comments about the media I was watching, a Drawfee stream that went off the rails, the It Welcome to Derry show. I thought the show was just okay. But all of these are little memories saved for me. I had a big headache in the evening, but I did manage to get some work done on one of the side projects that I'm really excited about, an app that simulates note cards. I'll probably talk about this more in a future video, especially since this week got a little too crazy to really dive into side projects. But this note card idea is my current mini obsession. I was seeing some of the systems that people create for recurring tasks using index cards, and you do the task on the card and then you file it in a specific spot so that it comes up when you need to do it next. Something about this really caught my attention, and I was inspired to make a little app around this idea. So I started it around the week of Thanksgiving, and I have a lot of the basics in place, so a lot of the functionality is already here. And I spent most of Monday learning about different ways to do animations in Jetpack Compose, something that I never really get to do for my day job because we just don't do a lot of crazy animations in our app. So this was a lot of fun for me to learn about this. There are only a few entries during this time because I was so focused, but that's perfectly fine. There's no rigid schedule for the interstitial journaling. It's just making use of those moments that you already have. And before we go on, I'll just mention briefly, I do have a game project in progress right now. It's not my fishing game. It's not my match 3 game. Both of these games got put aside for a bit. I'm having a time finishing projects. I think that's a pretty normal thing for our indie devs who don't have the structure of a company around them or rigid deadlines. But what I do have is a game about pigeons that I'm really excited about. I keep wanting to make a video about that as well, but at the same time, it is kind of nice having it just for me. I think that's been one reason that I have been able to make so much progress, is that I don't feel like I need to make things that are very visual for YouTube. I can make what is right to make next, and I don't need to worry about getting everything done by the weekend so I could do a vlog about it or anything like that. And so I think I will talk about that soon, but for now, that's just a little project for me, and that's what I've been working on currently. I know some people have been asking like, hey, how's this project going on old videos? And I'm sorry to say, all the old videos I have are currently either on hiatus or, in the case of Project Caribou, I think permanently canceled. I don't think I'm going to go back to that one, at least not in the same way that it is right now, but there's a little game dev update for everyone who is wondering. I continued my journaling through the entire work week pretty consistently. Honestly, it was not that hard to remember to update the little journal because it was out. I would stop to get some water, use the restroom, whatever, make a little note, and it was very easy. Like, it honestly was very easy. As far as what I was doing, Tuesday is where things went off the rails for me in terms of my plans. My current work project basically became very urgent this week. Several things needed to get completed basically by next Monday. So instead of the balanced week that I had imagined, where I talk about work and I talk about side projects and I talk about art, it instead transformed into a full-on stress-fueled hell week. And I know it's not good for me to work like this, but with the amount of work that I had to complete and deadlines planned by executives and outside of my control, I had to be honest with myself about how much time it would take me to meet that deadline, and that time is all the work time I have plus a little extra. And there's something I've been experiencing that I'm sure other people who are burned out will understand, and it's when you are experiencing the very depression-like symptoms of burnout. You're feeling disengaged, unmotivated, low energy, thinking feels slow and difficult. And as a result, work actually gets harder to do because you're not operating at full capacity. So even when you are able to focus on work, you just can't get as much done. It's much harder. Your brain and your body are resisting you constantly. So you work harder, but you get less work done than you could before you were burned out. And it's very frustrating, and it leaves you much more tired than when you started, and it's just this endless cycle. And the obvious answer is that I should just take a real break and recover from the burnout. But when you're responsible for paying a mortgage and feeding your family, you just keep going. So that's what the rest of this week ended up being, really, is surviving. Mostly working. My fitness routine unfortunately got pushed to the wayside as well. I'm super bummed because I was being so consistent with my strength training up until this week. But I'll get back to it. That's the key, really, I think, is when you have a bad week, you just start again the next week and you try to do better. I did manage to catch the wholesome snack on Tuesday, so that was something that was purely for fun. I'm very excited about the release of Bits and Bops specifically. And if you want to catch me playing this, I'll definitely do it on stream very soon. I think we have some more of the big Played Up update to check out first, but very soon I'm going to be playing Bits and Bops, which is a little rhythm game, very similar to Rhythm Heaven, but it's not like a Wii exclusive. I also streamed Observation Duty 8 this week. I love this game series. It's so good. They get better with each installment. I do think some of the intruders in this one are a little too loud and in your face for my personal tastes, but I had a blast. And there's a lot of very cool stuff that they've done in this one that's new from Observation Duty 7. And then also, the big Played Up update came out at the end of the week. That one was kind of a surprise. They announced it at the beginning of the week, and then it came out on Thursday, and it's kind of crazy. I don't know if I'll have time to make a video about the Played Up update, but they added 2 new main dishes, a whole new type of map, and then a very interesting item that lets you do some things that I've tried to do with automation before that have not really worked, and it's also pretty tricky to do with the new item, but we'll see. I may talk about that in more detail, but since my work was so hectic this week, I had considered canceling some of my streams to prioritize rest, but I'm glad I didn't, because even though streaming is work, it's an effort to kind of be on, chatting and engaging the whole time. I was still really happy to play some games and talk to people, talk to friends that I like talking to. So even though it was an effort, it wasn't like a nice effort, and I think it helped out a bit. And as I went through my week, the entries really paint a picture of how I am affected by the things that I do and the work that I do. And it lets me know where I can make improvements if I need to make improvements. So like on Tuesday afternoon, I wrote down spiraling a bit, work pressure is very high, I'm not getting as much done as I need to, work and lunch now, trying to catch up eternally. And then later that night was a really bad night for my eyes, dryness, and a constant uncomfortable feeling. You know, these are all connected. I'm spending too much time staring at my computer without breaks. It's causing more eye strain, obviously, but I can see it, listed out here, cause and effect, and maybe I can use that to change things a little bit, schedule in some eye breaks, do a warm compress, something like that. Then on Wednesday, got a little distracted, I'm very sleepy, it's hard to get any momentum, I have not stopped to collect my thoughts in hours high stress. So I can see, when I get in this sort of mode, or I'm not stopping to take these breaks to collect myself, it makes everything much harder. It's kind of tough to look back on, especially since as I'm writing this, I'm not fully out of the stressful work week. I have some more stuff to do on the weekend, but having this information helps me understand where things are going wrong or where things could be better, and I can start to figure out what I can do to change it. I can also see how frazzled I get when I sleep in on accident, so looking into my sleep routine to try and mitigate those moments would also be good. And then on 2 different days, I felt really bad because I waited too long to have lunch. I got really hungry. So adding snacks or making sure I honor my lunchtime can help there. Also, when I overtax my energy levels like I did on Thursday, that's not a good thing for me. I got caught up trying to debug a keyboard issue. I stayed up too late, and by the time I stopped and realized I was up too late, I've already felt really bad. So, I think these little interruptions in the form of interstitial journaling, it helps gauge the things you're doing that just sort of happen automatically that you don't think about, but you do throughout the whole day. Now you have a much better look. It's like a form of mindfulness, but not specific to the moment, but specific to slightly larger moments, like an hour or a 2-hour block. On a more pleasant note, on Friday, I was able to write down a fleeting, silly idea I had that I'm going to revisit later when I have time. So it's not all about, finding the problems. I just had a week that was more dense with problems than normal, but you can collect the nice things as well, things you're grateful for, things that your friends or your partner or your family do for you that make you feel good, things you want to remember. And I wrote down some of those things as well, like me and my partner are really enjoying Spy Family together, so I have that memory put down into words and captured. It's been acknowledged. So all wrapped up and summarized, I think this is a really powerful tool for being mindful. It could certainly get overwhelming if you are documenting too much, or if you add it on top of a schedule that is already like balls to the wall full of responsibilities. But honestly, even during my hell week at work, I didn't feel like this was too draining or too time consuming. It really was just making use of the interstitial moments that exist already. Like, these moments were already happening, even in very busy days. Like I said, you take a restroom break, you get some water, you get a little ping on your phone that pulls your attention for a minute. All these moments are already there. You're just using them now to take a quick note. And it also, having the journal out and this commitment in place, reminded me to just take a moment once every hour or two and actually think about what I'm doing instead of just go, sprinting forward on frenetic autopilot. It was just another thing to remind me, like, hey, think about what you're doing here. It's also super easy. You don't need to do this on paper. You can if you want to. You can pull up a Google Doc. You could do it in Obsidian, your phone's note app. You could record voice memos if that works better for you. I'm not really a voice memo kind of person, but it seems like it would be very easy if I was to just press a button, say a quick sentence, and then you're good to go. So I would recommend giving it a try in whatever form fits your lifestyle if you feel like this would help you. It's just another tool that can help you get a better handle on your mind, your behaviors, your memories, remember things. And yeah, I liked it. I'll probably keep doing it for a little while until I get distracted by something else. If we're being honest. But that's all I have for now. I do have a couple ideas brewing for YouTube. One's kind of a silly one related to video games, so keep an eye out for that. I also have a few like year-end thoughts, things that I might do, like little wrap-ups, things like that. And I also have some stuff to plan and prepare for 2026. So please subscribe if you like this. I'll be back soon, I hope, with another video, and I hope to see you there. Bye bye!